get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. You get yours, I get mine. Aight, then I'm gone. Movie screens, then life's the biggest production, and it's a bitch with a big appetite for seduction. All of a sudden, niggas busting for a big introduction.
Hey y'all, this is Daniel. Welcome to Blunt Talk, baby. How we doing? This is episode 25, and I think it's pretty crazy that I'm already a quarter in with this podcast. Well, today is going to be another basketball episode, and we're not going to talk about the NBA bubble. We're going to do a little bit of like historic NBA. We're going to talk about like the NBA throughout the times, and who better person to do it than with my good friend Brandon. How we doing, Brandon?
What's up, Dan? How you doing, man?
I've been chilling, man. I've been trying to get a job, I've been doing the podcast and balling, working out, doing what I can. First question I ask everyone in this podcast is, how have you been with the whole quarantine pandemic situation going on?
With this whole quarantine pandemic going on, I've really been keeping myself quarantined, staying away, really isolate myself from here and there. But whenever I have a time to, play basketball or hang around with a group of friends and get to hang out with them and talk to them about their lives and what's going on. It's pretty hard to do that now because of everything that's going on. But when you ever get an opportunity to do that, I just get to do it here and there. So that's pretty much I've been doing. And also,
that's how it should be. That's how it should be. Stay safe, and then if you get the chance, go ball out and do your thing.
Yeah. I'm
happy to hear that. Are you done? How's your school situation going? Like, do you still got a couple years left, or do you have 1 year left?
Yeah. I think I got like a year left of school. So I'm just trying, get as much schoolwork as I can done, make sure I get the good grades and stuff I want and graduate, get a degree and all that stuff.
I feel you, as you should. And I'm assuming it's online for you, everything?
Yeah, everything is online. Yeah.
That's the thing that I don't know how I would have felt, because I'm happy that I graduated when I did, because like when the pandemic hit, like everything for us, it was out of nowhere, but we only dealt with like the last semester was half of the semester online. I can't imagine all the people that are going now and they're starting their semester online. It's just, I wish them the best, and I wish you the best, homie.
Yeah, thank you.
Without further ado, let's get into the first topic of the episode. Well, one thing that I was telling Brandon before the episode started was that I was playing 2K a lot recently. I was looking at the all-time teams, and I was thinking to myself, what is the team that's had like the greatest talent pool throughout the years that's been around in the NBA? So we're not going to – we can make – how do you think we should do this, Brandon? You want to just go like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or do you just want to mention teams that we think should be up there?
I think we should mention teams that should be up there.
So a synonymous team I feel like that we both can agree is the Lakers, because when you think of a starting lineup for the all-time Lakers, you got someone like Magic Johnson. You can make the argument to play Jerry West as a shooting guard and then Kobe Bryant as a small ball 4, small ball 3, my bad. And then you ain't got to worry about nothing. You got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain and Shaquille O'Neal as your three rotational big men.
Yeah, that's unstoppable right there. You got Shaq and then Kareem, then you can switch it in with Wilt, put one of them out, put one of them in. And that backcourt of Jerry West and Magic, that would be something very special, because Magic's ability to pass the ball, facilitate, get everybody involved. And Jerry West, who – he's a logo, but he's very underrated. I feel like he had a lot of game to himself, and everybody knows about Kobe Bryant and what he can bring to the floor. And also pieces that they also have on the bench that you can bring in.
Their bench is mad deep, bro. They got George McCann, for example. James Worthy is another person I can think of. Pau Gasol you can mention too. He's one of the Laker greats. You can even mention from this right now, the team that we have, AD and LeBron. It's not prime LeBron, but it's still LeBron. So it's like still a name that you should mention.
Yeah, he'll still be able to do something as well. Who else do they have?
Gail Goodrich is another person I can think of.
And Baylor.
Oh my God, I forgot about Elgin Baylor.
That Lakers all-time Lakers team is probably I don't know how you beat that team.
Like, it's kind of funny to think about, because like the Lakers second team all time talking about, like they could probably beat like a team like the all time Charlotte Hornets. Like, you know what I mean? One of the teams that doesn't have that great of a roster, but they could easily beat one of the lower tier teams, in my opinion. They could give a run for the money because you got like Gil Goodrich, Elgin Baylor off the bench, bro. That's That's damn.
You got Will Chamberlain, Paul Gasol, James Worthy. That's a
Who would be their backup point guard though? Now that I can't think about it at the top of my head because I can only think about people like Jerry West and Magic Johnson as the main point guards.
You could probably go Norm Nixon. He used to play for the Lakers.
Okay.
You could probably go Derek Fisher if you.
Derek Fisher's longevity, yeah, he wouldn't be bad for you on the because he always was clutch. He was really clutch for them Lakers teams too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would always come in and just make the big plays, whether it was on offense or defense. Make a big play.
Other thing to mention about is like how like for example you got Ben Simmons nowadays, like he's like a tall point guard. Magic Johnson's a very tall point guard. So having Kobe Bryant as your small forward being at like 6'6", a little undersized, you can make that argument. You don't gotta worry about a thing. That team's gonna grab rebounds for days.
Yeah, they're gonna be crashing the boards on both sides and getting all the rebounds, getting second chance looks. When you got Shaq, who's 7 feet tall, Will Chamberlain, Kareem, that team would be crazy.
That team would be another team that I think we should mention. How about Boston? Because Boston, if I'm not mistaken, Boston is the team with the most chips, right? They got one more championship than the Lakers.
They have 17.
17, and the Lakers have 16 or 15, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
Yeah,
The Celtics starting lineup is pretty crazy too. You got first off Bill Russell, 11 rings to his name. Enough said. You got KG. Or Kevin McHale. I think Kevin McHale might get the start off KG.
Yeah, I think he might start over the KG.
Larry Bird, Larry Legend, the pride and joy of Indiana, like that. And then I think shooting guard. Would it be like someone like Sam Jones, Ray Allen, John Hondo, Havlicek? They got talent, bro.
Have a lot of talent.
I forgot to mention Paul Pierce would probably be their backup small forward because Paul Pierce is like arguably top 3 Boston Celtics scorers of all time.
Yeah. And then they got Bob Cousy, who you could put at the point. You could put Rondo at the point. Dennis Johnson at the point.
Dennis Johnson.
They got a lot of talent. And then for the big man, you got Bill Russell. Who else?
Robert
Parrish, Kevin Garnett.
I might be wrong on this, but did Tom Hizon, however you pronounce that, he played for the Celtics too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that one person. You can also put Jason Tatum now, because honestly, at the rate Jason Tatum's been playing now these days, he could be like the bench warmer for that all-time team, at least, and he's young.
Yeah, he's very young, and he's only his 3rd year, and he's improving every year as he's going. He keeps getting better.
I was on Twitter the other day, and like I found a tweet that someone said like, "Oh, Michael Jordan was this young when he made it to the finals his first time. LeBron James was this young when he made it to the finals this time, and Jason Tate and Tyler Hero was this young when he made it like to the conference finals or something like that." And because Tyler Hero is like what 19 or 20 right now.
Yeah, he's I think he's 19. Yeah,
19. Then someone quote tweeted that and said, "Yeah, but Jason Tatum made it when he was 18," and I was like, that's true. That's actually pretty true. He made it to the conference finals his rookie year.
And
so,
they almost went to the finals that year too.
It was one game away. Yeah. It really was. That was the year without Kyrie and Hayward in the lineup for them, right?
Yeah.
That series, that was crazy because LeBron carried that on his shoulders. He really did.
Yeah, he had to make sure they was not losing. Especially when they got to that Game 7 in Boston, he made sure that he was
and it was a close game the whole time. I remember, like it wasn't like a blowout either way, either side. It was like under double digits the whole game.
It was back and forth, and then like the last minute and a half, LeBron just took over in the game at the end.
So we mentioned the Lakers and we mentioned Boston, but between them two, who you think would be the one team to best the other?
I would say the Lakers because of their height. I feel like their height and their size would be their advantage towards the end. Yeah,
I don't want to like take a shot at Bill Russell, but he was for a center, he was a little undersized. He was like 6'9". It's not completely undersized for a center, but against someone like Wilt and someone like Shaq, George Mikan, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like they're all 7-footers at least. It's gonna be like he can definitely hold his own. Like I know he would hold his own, but he would need some help because KG not even over 7 foot. Then you got Kevin McHale. He's probably like 6'11", 6'10" too. Like I get I agree with you.
Yeah, And plus, it would be hard for them. Like, say they was trying to attack the paint. You got 2 7-footers sitting right on the block. It's just gonna be hard to try and score down low. They got the shooters. That's their advantage. They got people that can spread the space.
That's
to
true.
Shoot,
That's
shoot
true. That's true. Besides the Lakers and Celtics, what's one team that you want to bring up to the conversation?
I think the one team that you could probably bring up, the all-time Spurs.
Spurs, bro. I was playing with them, their all-time team on 2K the other day. Their lineup is deadly, and I'm surprised Ginobili doesn't have the copyrights for 2K nowadays. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you got Tony Parker, George Gervin, the Iceman, Kawhi Leonard, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, and Ginobili. That's like that 6-man unit just there. That's enough to give any of these all-time teams a battle.
And they still got guys like who else played for the Spurs?
They got Avery Johnson. That's
Johnson.
That probably would be one of their best backup point guards.
Yeah.
You have Artis Gilmore. You got Bruce Bowen. You got Sean Elliott, I think, too. What's this man's name? The other one. James Silas. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
You got Antonio McDyess. Antonio McDyess, too. Antonio McDyess was a big boy for them. I think that's pretty much like the notable ones, I guess. Because you can make like a little bit of an argument for like someone like Danny Green in the San Antonio organization just because of the longevity he had in the team.
Winning 2 championships there, you can make the argument for him.
Yeah. Hey man, but if you agree with me, I think we should put Matt Bonner to be their bench warmer at least because he's
Matt Bonner. He's a legend. He got to be in there just because he's a legend.
But yeah, I feel like San Antonio would make some noise if you put them in the playoff bracket in the season. They would easily make the playoffs or something. They would be up there in a contender spot,
especially with a great coach like Popovich. That's
and we'll get into that a little later after this. But another team I think we could mention is. I mean, I'm going to be a little biased. The Knicks, I like the Knicks' chances all time, though, a little bit because they got people like Walt Frazier or Monroe. It can make it like a double point guard lineup if you wanted to, really.
They got Bernard King, Carmelo, Patrick Ewing. You can make the argument for that team.
Yeah. Willis Reed, he was one of the people that actually won the Knicks a championship in the 70s.
Yeah.
You got even people like –
that leg injury that he had. I think it was like that, and then he came back and played and helped him win a championship.
Dave the Butcher. I hope I didn't butcher that name. I'm trying to think. Bernard King. Oh my God, Bernard King too.
Underrated.
Like, in their starting lineup, you easily would do like the 2 guards. You could do like Earl Monroe with Walt Frazier. Put Carmelo in there and put who will be their starting.
I probably put Melo at the 4. Put Bernard.
You put Melo on the 4,
and then play Ewing at the 5.
And who would be the small forward for them? Like Bernard King, something like that. That'd be a deadly scoring lineup, and the only thing I would say against that lineup is probably its defensive capability.
Probably, yeah. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like if you put them in a certain situation, like I feel like if it was like a playoff type of atmosphere, I feel like they would lock down. But if it's like a regular season type of game, they might slack off. But offensively, you're gonna have to play them. Yeah, you have to play great defense.
It'd be like I guess you could say like a Houston Rockets situation. Like offensively, they're so deadly. Defense, you know, historically, like the last couple years, they haven't been known for their defense exactly. But you always gotta defend them really hard, or else they're gonna give you buckets. For example, it'd be one of them situations.
Their great defense is gonna be their offense. It's either you're gonna have to score 100 plus points on us, or you're gonna get blown out the gym.
How about all-time Golden State?
That's a deadly team. They got very.
I'm just trying to think of the '90s team they had with Chris Mullin, Mitch Richmond, and Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, the run team.
Just think about that first, and then think about the current Golden State that we all know and love from our generation. You know what I'm saying?
Even the guys that played with them back in the day, like Rick Barry, Wilt Chamberlain was on there. That's it.
Their starting lineup is Steph Curry. I guess you could give. Would you give Mitch Richmond like the jump, or would you say Klay Thompson needs to start?
I probably would give it to Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson, okay. Klay Thompson would start. You could have. I feel like they would do like a small ball lineup, and they could do like Rick Barry and KD as a power forward, and then put Wilt Chamberlain, and just have like the bench unit be like Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond,
Draymond.
Someone like Bogut probably. I mean, I feel. Oh wait, no. Manute Bol could play for them. I feel like.
Yeah, he used to.
Manute Bol would be a decent backup center, I guess. Would you put David Lee on there?
I probably would throw him on there just to have an extra big as well.
Okay.
I might throw him on there.
Because I was thinking about it. After that, I feel like their bench kind of falls a little flat. At least like notable name wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, once you get past like Draymond and Manute Bol, it's like, all right, who else is gonna fill in the roster after that?
But at the end of the day, like NBA's type of speaking, I guess you could call it, you don't need a full 13-man rotation. They normally play with like maximum 10-man rotation. So
you just have 10 or 11, you should be good.
What else? I'm trying to think of any other teams from the top of my head.
The Orlando Magic all-time team.
They would be okay. The problem is I feel like Dwight Howard and Shaq being like, because I feel like you would have to be forced to play them together, right?
Yeah, you probably would have to.
Like the one good matchup for that would be against the Lakers because there's no shot the Lakers are playing small ball with the bigs they have. Like they can afford to actually have their bigs, for example. So Orlando, you probably have to go Penny Hardaway as the point guard. Shooting guard,
Tracy McGrady. You probably put Tracy
McGrady. Wow. Yeah, for a second I blanked because I was thinking Vince Carter, but Vince Carter wasn't in his prime when he played for Orlando. That shouldn't be even in consideration. You got Hilo Turkoglu and Rashard Lewis are two very good wings for them. Dennis Grant, that's his name. Dennis Scott. Wow. Okay. You got Dennis Scott, 3D.
Yeah. But then I feel like who would you play after, like, you got Shaq and Dwight in the starting lineup, but then who would, like, come off the bench for that?
Backup center?
Yeah.
You could you make the argument for Nikola Vucevic because he got an all-star nod? Like, he only got one all-star nod, and he's kind of efficient.
I mean, he's probably going to be the only good big that they have. So
Gortat, I forgot. Marcin Gortat was a backup for Dwight Howard.
He played well when he was in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably make the argument for him.
Hey, should we give Big Baby Glenn Davis a spot on the team?
Nah, he gotta go home. He can't make the roster. Not today, no.
Jameer Nelson could be a backup point guard. I mean, he got an all-star nod.
They had Nick Anderson too back when
Nick Anderson. Although he choked that one free throw, he still was a deadly shooter. JJ Redick. I feel like JJ Redick wasn't up there yet.
Yeah, I think he was still kind of developing, still trying to figure out who he was. Nobody really knew who JJ Redick was back in Orlando.
Bro, we forgot about Grant Hill.
Oh my gosh, man! If he never hurt his ankles, man.
Okay, like I never saw him play like that early because I wasn't into basketball that early. But people were saying like he was gonna be LeBron.
Yeah, they were saying he was gonna be like the next. They were saying he's gonna be the next Michael Jordan or the next Scottie Pippen, if you would say so. Yeah, because he was there when Tracy McGrady was there, but his ankles just never held up.
Yeah, I feel bad for some of these athletes that happens.
Yeah, like
I really do because it's like it's not even on them. It's like the injuries. You never know. Yeah. Like imagine like an alternate universe or something, and then like the greatest player of all time is Grant Hill. Like sheesh, bro.
Yeah.
So yeah, Orlando definitely should be up there. I feel like Orlando could be up there. They could make the playoffs at least. I don't know if they would be like a championship team if you would do like an all-time season, but
yeah, I don't think they'll probably get somewhere to like the semifinals, conference finals, maybe somewhere around there.
I'm trying to think any other teams like
all-time Chicago would probably be up there.
Chicago would be nasty because their starting lineup easy. Their MVP Derrick Rose. What better than MVP Derrick Rose as starting point guard?
And then you got Mike, Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and then you could probably go with
I feel like it would have to be because 2K has their starting center being Artis Gilmore. And he was like, he's a 95 rated for them. And I'm like, okay. And his stats, like he scored like 25 and 13 rebounds for when he played in Chicago. So I'm not going to argue against it. But I feel like we both can agree, maybe Joakim Noah.
Yeah, you could probably start Joakim Noah over Artis Gilmore. You probably could. Because I feel like he doesn't really – he's kind of like the Dennis Rodman of the team. He probably need the ball. He can just get off of the rebounds, play defense, pass the ball, give it to the guys like Jordan and Derrick Rose. But defensively, they would be pretty hard to score on.
That would be one of the toughest defensive teams you can come up with in the end, like the all-time teams, because Derrick Rose would be the worst defensive player in that team, and Derrick Rose isn't a slouch on defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's like, I think he's around 6 feet, 6'1". He's quick and move very laterally. Then you got Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, who's just locking up on the wing. Then you got Joakim and Dennis is going to be Guarding Dennis was probably going to guard the best big man, probably most likely. And then,
easily he would have to, and then especially now that the NBA is like small ball era, he could easily. I feel like Dennis Rodman would have thrived off even more in this era of basketball, low key. Even though he can't shoot.
Yeah, he'd have been like the Draymond of the NBA. Because he would have been able to guard all types of defenders, and then he would go out there and rebound, set screens, and do the dirty work.
It's kind of crazy though, because like with the Jordan documentary, I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me Dennis Rodman didn't even try to shoot? He would grab a rebound and just kick it out? That's how devoted he was to just grabbing the boards. So like that would definitely help a team with Michael Jordan, Derrick Rose, Scottie Pippen. They're gonna be needing all the touches in that team. Yeah. And their bench, you got people like Lil Den, who was very nice for Chicago, and like when he played for them. Jimmy Butler, Steve Kerr,
Horace Grant,
B.J. Armstrong, Horace Grant, Zach LaVine. I mean, Zach LaVine scoring just for the scoring. You could in the dunks, you could put him at the end of the
highlights and the buckets that he could provide you.
How about Atlanta? I was thinking about Atlanta for a minute because you got people like Joe Johnson, Pistol Pete Maravich. You get Trae Young. Honestly, if he keeps going at the pace that he's going to be a starting point guard for that team. If not, Doc Rivers was solid. You get Dominique Wilkins. You get Lou Hudson.
They had Bob Pettit that played for the
Bob Pettit, bro. Bob Pettit was a monster. And the Dikembe. Bob Pettit and the Dikembe Mutombo. Josh Smith, you can say. Al Horford, Paul Millsap.
Yeah, you can make I feel like they're probably a team that will probably get bounced in the first round.
In the first round, but they'll at least make the playoffs.
They'll make noise in the playoffs. They'll push the series to like a 6-7 game series just because of the talent that they have. But I feel like they'll probably fall to a higher team, a higher seed.
Before we go on to like the coach all-time question, let's go quick fire teams. Like we don't have to go with that in depth, but like let's just name a couple more teams that we think like quick fire. Because I feel like Utah, baby. Because just the starting duo of Hornacek and Malone put Rudy Gobert or Mark Eden and Donovan Mitchell, Adrian Dantley. Utah would be a menace, yo.
Yeah. You could say. I'm trying to think. Philadelphia would be a very good team.
Yo, with Moses Malone, Will Chamberlain, someone like Dr. J, their small forward, Allen Iverson, and Maurice Cheeks.
That would be
Denver. I feel like Denver would be crazy too.
Denver would be very good.
Because you got Carmelo Jokic. You could put someone like David Thompson, Skywalker David Thompson. Point guard would have to be...
You could probably go Chauncey Billups.
Someone like that. And power forward, small forward, you can just go something like – actually, Dan Issel. I'd say Dan Issel probably would be up there because –
They also had Alex English that used to play for them too.
Alex English was a baller. Okay, yeah, you can do small ball, Carmelo power forward, and Alex English the small forward. That's true. That's a good point. I don't want to say – can we make the argument for Miami?
All-time Miami? I feel
Tim
like
Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Alonzo Mourning, and Chris Bosh, I guess.
Yeah, and then they had guys like Shaq. You could throw guys like Eddie Jones. They can throw
Jason Williams.
You could throw
Haslam has to be there just because longevity.
Yeah. That Miami Heat team would give people run for their money.
Any last team that you can think of? Because
I feel like there's one that we're forgetting. That's probably like we'll probably say it, and then you'll be like, "Yo, we totally forgot about that."
I feel that too. Oh my god! If it comes to mind later, because how about Indiana? I feel like Indiana would be just okay because they got people like Paul George. Then you get Danny Granger. Then you get George McGinnis. Center, you can get Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, Steven Jackson. I don't know who their point guard would be. Mark Jackson?
Probably either Mark Jackson, most likely.
They probably have another point guard I can't think of. But Victor Oladipo and Brogdon too. Like shit. Okay. Now let's go on to like the next all-time question. Who do you think deserves to be known as the greatest NBA coach of all time? My argument is for Greg Popovich, not just for the fact that he's got championships to his name, but you could see how the Spurs had a 20-plus year playoff streak. And in that playoff streak, I believe like 17 or 18 of those 20 years, they had over 50 wins.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you that it wasn't just like the specific set of players. Because sure, you had Tim Duncan for 20 years, right? But
Yeah.
it wasn't just Tim Duncan. There are people that came along later and even way later with Kawhi at the end, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he did a good job of what he had, because it was kind of crazy to see how the Robinson got hurt that one season. They had to tank. They
Mhm.
got the number 1 pick. They got Tim Duncan. And everyone can agree, I feel like Tim Duncan really should be a center.
Yeah, because he was what, 6'10", 6'11"?
6'11" easily, and his game was just posting the bank shot, for example.
Yeah.
But they had David Robinson. They had to play with those two twin towers, and it would work perfectly for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my argument in there. I want to see what you think. Who do you think should be the greatest coach of all time?
I think the greatest coach of all time should be Phil Jackson. Not only because first of all, he coached greats like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Shaq, and Kobe, and he won. The crazy part about it is I looked up his accolades. He only won Coach of the Year one time. It was in 95, 96, the year they won 72 games. So out of his whole entire career, he's only won one.
He's only won it once? That's a snob. That's robbery.
Yeah. So and then I seen Greg Popovich won it 3 times. The 2 times that he won out of the 3 times, he won NBA championship. So I could obviously see why he won it that year. But not only that, he had to deal with a lot of controversy. Like you obviously seen in the Jordan documentary, we had to deal with Jerry Krause and the general manager and the owner dealing with those guys. Then had to deal with Michael Jordan trying to implement him into the triangle offense, telling him that you got to trust your teammates. You got to trust guys like Steve Kerr and Scotty Burrell and Dennis Rodman and everybody. You got to trust these guys because you're going to need them down the line, like B.J. Armstrong, John Paxson, Ron Harper. You're going to need these guys later on down the line. So he had to not only get Michael Jordan to fall in line and follow the rules and try and get him implemented to the triangle, deal with the drama of guys like Dennis Rodman and the owners and the stuff in Chicago. And then when he went to the Lakers, had that Kobe and Shaq issue. Kobe wanted to be, this dominant player going for 40, 50 points when Shaq wasn't there because he was injured starting the season most of the times because he didn't take care of his body. And then they try to have to reel him back in. And Kobe's like, why do I have to get reeled back in? Because, Shaq not keeping himself in shape. I'm trying to be great myself because I'm a young guy trying to prove myself in the league. And the ability to be able to win championships, have a three-peat, then the year Jordan retires, still have a team in competition to get to the finals without Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time that a lot of people say. Then after Jordan comes back, they lose to the Orlando Magic, but then they come back the following year with another three-peat, and I have an opportunity to win another title, 4 titles, but you know how everything went with the whole organization. So Phil Jackson had an opportunity to probably win 8 to 10 championships in a row in
Easily, bro.
Chicago. And then with the Lakers, you could make the argument the same thing if Kobe and Shaq never had that issue.
If they would have stuck together for longer, they never had that beef, they probably would have won even more.
Because they won 3 in a row, then they lost to the Spurs. Then the following year, they get back to the NBA Finals, but they lost to Detroit because, the turmoil in the locker room between Kobe and Shaq, it was just too much for them. And then after that, they split. Then he retires for a little bit, comes back, wins 2 more titles with Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, Derek Fisher, and those guys. So 11 championships to his name.
I gotta give it to you, honestly. You had me beat because when you really think about it, Greg Popovich is a great coach, but he never dealt with the issue of like having to deal with turmoil and like a locker room beef or arguments and all that. Like the only real thing you could see in Greg Popovich's history is like the whole Kawhi Leonard situation that happened later in his career. Phil Jackson, through the thick and thin of all that situation, managed to get everyone to coexist and co-work together. So I'll give you the upper hand on that, honestly. You got me beat with that because it's true. Even it's not just the fact he won the titles. It's not just the fact he had a perfect system for the players. He had to deal with all that drama in the situation. He had to deal without a team with Jordan, like you said. So I got to give it to Jackson, too.
Yeah. And then even the year that he had that whole issue with Kawhi Leonard and stuff like that, Kawhi Leonard ended up leaving him instead of, what would have happened if that was if Michael Jordan, if that would have happened to Phil Jackson, if Michael Jordan would have.
Oh my God, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, like Phil Jackson was there for Kawhi. Like if Phil Jackson was the coach for the, I feel like if you swap them, regardless, they're gonna win because of the talent and the coaching. But it's what happens outside of coaching, like dealing with these personal issues, personal dramas, dealing with the owner, the GM, trying to get rid of you after you went 6-0 in NBA Finals, you've never lost. Like that's crazy to me. Like you're gonna get rid of a coach that's bringing you championship after championship after championship. Like if he was losing or he lost the year, like say they ran it back after the 6-1 and they lost it to the Spurs or whoever in the Western Conference, the Western Conference team. That's when you can be like, all right, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, but for him to keep winning and you're like, nah,
it just doesn't make sense because that's something funny I think from nowadays in our NBA that we're watching. It's like you could see like this one coach did like make the team get to the semifinals, and the next thing you know, he gets fired or something. Like I feel like coach hirings and firings are happening too much nowadays in our day and age of basketball.
Because you're kind of on a short leash now. It's like you got to win now or you got to improve now within the year or two. If you're not, okay, we're gonna get somebody else to fill
So it's kind of crazy to see how like Phil Jackson had to deal with that after he was actually winning. He was actually winning, but he was still in jeopardy of his job. Yeah. You got any last thoughts on the Phil Jackson argument that you were making? Anything else you want to add before we go into the NBA bubble?
No, I think that's it, man. I just think that, in my opinion, I feel like Phil Jackson's probably the greatest coach of all time.
Okay. You know what I just thought? You know how you said earlier, like, oh, we're going to think of a team that we were like, oh, my God, that deserves – we forgot about Milwaukee, bro. Oscar Robertson, Giannis, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ray Allen, Sidney Moncrief.
Had Michael Redd, who was nice.
Michael Redd was a dog back in the day, too.
He had the left hand.
He was a left-handed shooter. I love left-handed shooters because it's so difficult to guard it.
Yeah, you gotta. It's mad hard to guard him now. It's like because you're so used to guarding people that's right-handed. Now they dribble with their left hand, finish with their left hand, step back, jump shots, and shooting with their left hand. It's kind of hard to contest because you're not used to it.
Exactly. But now onto our NBA bubble topic. First off, have you been following the bubble, my guy? How have it been for you? Like, what do you think of the bubble concept and everything?
I think the bubble concept is going well. I mean, you've obviously no positive tests. Everybody's been staying safe and stuff like that. And then having them allow them to bring certain family members to the bubble, watch them play and be around them. So I feel like the way they set it up and how they all have it running well, it's been going good. And the games have all been very competitive, very good. We've had probably like 3-4 blowouts most likely, but all the games have been pretty close.
That's a good point. Yeah, I have loved that. Actually, it's the fact that every game is really competitive and very close. It's not like crazy blowouts in the playoffs, at least.
Because they're all in the same area, so they're not traveling and they're not having tired legs and all the other stuff. So every game has been very competitive, very close. And it's been very interesting to watch. And you're seeing a lot of the young guys start to develop and grow into their game. And
we have a lot of the young guys like stepping up in big moments now too.
Yeah. Even like the seeding games, you had Devin Booker going off, and now you have
bro. The last episode, this episode's not released yet. I think it should be out today. But there's one episode I did with my friend Parnell. We were talking about it like. They should have done like a 1-16 playoff format or something to like give a chance to Portland and Phoenix both to get into the playoffs because Phoenix played their butts off, bro. Phoenix played like
they should have had Phoenix and Memphis battle it out, then they go and face Portland, and then they battle out to get the 8 seed. I feel like they should have done something like that.
I would have preferred that because it's not like, as I said the last episode, I don't have anything against Memphis. I actually love Memphis, and I'm a big fan of Memphis. But I feel like Phoenix and Portland earned it more because Memphis started losing games inside the bubble.
I kind of felt like that too because I'm like, y'all was the 8 seed when y'all came into the bubble and y'all only won 2 out of your 8 seeding games, but because y'all beat because y'all beat Phoenix in the regular season, y'all were able to get that 9th spot and then get to play Portland in the play-in game. And then Phoenix, who went 8-0 and won all their play-in games, just didn't get a chance to even get in.
No, but me personally, like I've been saying this, I'm really upset that the NBA didn't take the time to experiment because you're already experimenting inside a bubble. You know what I mean? So why not like just do like a World Cup group stage or something, or do like a 1-16, do like a division. Do something weird, do something different. Because like I'm kind of a little tired of the same old 1 versus 8 seed. Because you see the problem. The first problem was when they brought the teams into the bubble. You know this. They brought 13 teams from the Western Conference.
Yeah.
How many teams from the Eastern Conference did they bring, my guy?
9.
Isn't that like a little unfair or something?
They had the Wizards. They had no chance of getting in anyways. They would have the Nets and the Magic would have to lose a lot of games, and they would have to win.
Bradley Beal declined to go to the bubble. Davis Bertans declined to be in the bubble. John Wall, who there was rumors saying, oh, he's going to play in the bubble, said, nah, I'm not even fully back yet. So they played with like a Brooklyn Nets bubble roster, when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. And then in the West, you had Spurs, Sacramento, Pelicans, Suns, Blazers,
Kings.
The Kings. So they were trying to make sure that Zion had an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
That's why as soon as I saw the format, because they said like the 9th seeds gotta beat the 8th seed 2 times, I was like, yeah, this is specifically made so Zion can make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether he's the 8th seed or the 9th seed, as long as he gets Zion in the playoffs, it's gonna help our ratings, and it didn't happen. But it was, and then when I first heard that 22 teams are going, I'm like, all right, so 11 from the East, 11 from the West. But then I see 13 on the West and 9 in the East. I'm like, why is it like that?
It's a little unfair. I get it because the records and the way it stands. But if there's such much parity in records, then you should have just made the playoffs be like 1-16, in my opinion. Because at least you would have a team like Phoenix actually qualifying for that, and even Memphis, and take Orlando and Brooklyn out. Because Brooklyn and Orlando this season, they really didn't matter in the playoff picture.
Yeah, they only
in the East. It's the top 6 that mattered the most, in my opinion, this season.
Yeah, because the Magic didn't have the pieces, and the Nets pieces basically either opted out or injured, so they weren't going to be able to win anyway. Mm-hmm. So you should have just left it at 1-16 and just go from there.
I would have enjoyed, like you said, 11 from each conference though, because I think the Knicks were like the 11th or the 12th team in the East, so that would have been dope to see our team fight for a spot on the bubble, even though we're like 15 games away.
Yeah.
But, what have you thought about the playoffs so far, though? Like the current results and things that happened. Like, what's your opinion on it?
It's actually been very, very great and very good. There's been a few shockers, like obviously Milwaukee losing to Miami. A lot of people thought, oh, Milwaukee, they're the number 1 seed. They got Giannis, they got Chris Middleton, blah, blah, blah. They should be able to beat Miami.
I was one of those people. I hate to admit it.
Yeah, and then they ended up losing in 5 games, and I just felt like Miami matched up well with Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. And then you had Utah and Denver series. That
was insane, my God.
Sensational. Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray put on phenomenal performances. Mm-hmm. Both scored 50 twice in the series, going back and forth. It kind of felt like in the fourth quarter, it felt like a little one-on-one at the park. It
was like a completely – that whole series was one specific game from the first quarter to the third quarter. But when it was the fourth quarter, it felt like it was a different type of game. It felt like NBA Finals atmosphere with the way them two were going back at it, trading blows.
Mm-hmm. It felt like Donovan Mitchell would do something, and you're like, yo, that's tough. And then Jamal Murray would come right back at him and hit him with something crazy. And you're like, wow.
I wouldn't say they was talking shit to each other, but you could see how, like, Jamal Murray would like a step-back jump shot, and he would just like, yeah, baby, you see what I'm doing? And then Donovan Mitchell would be like, oh, bet. Mm-hmm. Then he'd just come coast to coast the other side and, like, dunk in someone's face and be like, yeah, I told you. Like, it was constant highlight after highlight.
Their energy was great. They were going at it. Even though they had a lot of respect for each other, they made sure that they were going to go at each other.
Mm-hmm. I think the best thing is the fact that they were both in the same hotel because their teams were everywhere. So every time the games would end, it'd be like, I see it on Bleacher Report on Twitter, something like, oh, Jamal Murray walked past by like Donovan Mitchell after the game and was like joking or something. Like it's kind of crazy because I bet you they both are actually pretty good with each other. They like don't have a beef or anything. It was just like very competitive.
I just think like on the court, it's just they're two competitors just trying to win, just trying to help their team advance. And then
you know what makes me happy about that series though, because going into the bubble, since the Knicks didn't make it, I told myself, let me pick a bubble team. And you know what my bubble team has been so far? It was the Denver Nuggets, bro.
Mm-hmm.
they have not disappointed me at all. I'm calling them now the 3-1, down 3-1 Nuggets because these guys are relentless.
Every time they go down, you think it's over, and then they just get a little spark. All they need is just a little spark, and they come back, and they have an opportunity to do it again tonight. So.
Did you get a chance to see the last two games for the Denver versus Clippers series?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, they were down by 15 game 5.
Yeah.
Won by 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Game 6, they were down by 18, 19.
And then they came back and
won by 13 or 12, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with the Clippers, bro. They don't look like they have the right mood or vibe or energy with them.
Yeah, I feel like because one, they're still trying to work things out because they got a lot of pieces. They got a lot of talent that they can play. You got Kawhi, Paul George, Lou Williams,
Harold,
Pat Bev. You got
Reggie Jackson too, Zubac and Green. Their rotation's deep for a reason.
Very deep, but it's only 48 minutes, one basketball, so you gotta try to figure out, okay, how do I get the best out of Paul George? How do I get the best out of Kawhi? How do I get the best out of Lou Will? How do I get the best out of Montrez within this 48 time limit? And it's kind of hard because they feel like it's because when they're up on Denver, they'll go up 15-19, they'll take their foot off the gas and be they're a young team, they're gonna quit, they're gonna give up, but there's no crowd or anything to deflate them. So they're like, you know what, we're only down 15-19, there's no crowd, it's just us, let's go out there and give it our best. And then they'll come back and then they'll win the game. And then I'm like, you had them beat, you should have just put your foot on their neck and closed the deal. Now you've given them all the momentum and the confidence and the energy they have now going to this Game 7. So
bro,
the Clippers
kind of crazy to think about too, because Nikola Jokic, I've been a big fan of Jokic ever since he was even a rookie. So I was like, okay, this big guy from Serbia has potential. He'll be something nice one day, maybe, right? And now going into the bubble, he wasn't having the best statistical season this year. He was playing good, but he wasn't like last season. Right now, he's on all cylinders, my guy. This man's unstoppable.
Yeah, he can't. The Clippers have no answer for him.
Bro, it's funny. You'll see Zubac trying to close out, can't do nothing. You'll see Harold trying to close out, can't. Even Lou Williams is trying. Kawhi, PG.
Yeah. It's just he's 6'11", 7 feet, and then that high release and his touch and feel is just too much. They can't really stop that. He's just shooting over them or just backing them down, turn around, hook shot, making it. He can pass the ball. You can run the offense through him.
He basically is their point guard because Jamal Murray is not a pass-first player.
Yeah, so it allows Jamal Murray to do the scoring and everything else, and Jokic just facilitates. And then when it's time for Jokic to score, he'll go get some buckets.
I have a strong love and hate relationship with Jokic's step back, fadeaway, whatever he does, because it looks so ugly, bro. It looks so ugly when he does it, but it goes in. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's very hard to guard because he kind of does a little Harden type of thing, but then he shoots it off of one leg and he just shoots it. And I'm like, it works, but it kind of hard to think because you've never seen somebody do a type of shot like that.
Because it's not even like Dirk, because Dirk would at least do standstill and just fade away and kick the leg up. That was his thing. Jokic is forcefully moving backwards and then fading away with it too.
And then he just makes them. He hit one, I think, against Paul George late in the fourth quarter. I'm just like, you can't stop that. That's just that's a tough shot.
I can't wait till Paul George be like, that was a bad shot or something.
he probably did say that in the huddle, yo, you let him hit that. Yo, that was a bad shot. I don't want to hit that. That was a bad shot.
Yo, I really want it because I was really hoping there somehow because it would have been tough because the Trailblazers were an 8th seed and the Clippers were our 2nd seed. I really wish somehow they would have faced in the playoffs because do you remember the kind of small beef that happened with Paul George and Damian Lillard?
Yeah,
in the bubble.
Beverly. Yeah.
I feel like that would have been very entertaining basketball to see.
Yeah, that would have been very entertaining because I feel like their energy, Dame would have been at them, and so with them, and Pat Beverly and all that stuff that they have, and he would have made sure that he got his revenge. Damian Lillard had a great bubble too.
Oh, he did. Outstanding. I feel bad he got injured at the end.
Yeah, Luka had a phenomenal bubble in the playoffs. He was just. I like
The
him.
problem was that Porzingis got hurt, and I'm not surprised Porzingis got hurt because
He's always.
I'm sorry. Like ever since he got drafted by the Knicks, I was worried about his long legs and everything. And
Yeah.
it's just, but Luka couldn't do all of that by himself. So I feel like they need one more piece, at least a good, decent player that's enough to get you buckets too, and isn't that injury prone.
Yeah, they get somebody that's a third option or a second option to go along with them too. They could
A Chris Middleton type of guy. Just a Chris Middleton type of guy alongside Luka would be so good for him.
Somebody that can play defense, give you 15 or 20 when it's needed, and then just help out with Porzingis as well.
Now that I mentioned Chris Middleton, I wanted to go to dive into a small segment we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring up some of the teams that have been eliminated or that underperformed, and I want your opinion. You're gonna put your GM hat on, and you're gonna tell me what they need to do. Okay. So first off, what's wrong with Houston, bro? Do they need to blow it up?
Yeah, Houston, they gotta blow it up. Their system is it's not gonna work because all they do is shoot layups, dunks, and threes. You completely eliminated the whole mid-range game. So that's the defense is now just gonna be like, all right, we're gonna press up on you. We're gonna make the 3-point shot tough. And if you attack the rim, we're just gonna have everybody collapse and make you kick it out to them. Then we're gonna go back and recover. Now you're just stuck because you're not. You're not gonna take the mid-range shot at all. The only person that's gonna take it is Westbrook, and his jump shot is falling off, so he can't make anything. So they got to get rid of the coach, get a new coach that's.
Well, did you hear what happened with D'Antoni or not?
Yeah, I heard that he's no longer going to be the coach for the Houston Rockets.
Bro, apparently they were on the plane on the way back to Houston, and he gave a speech to them saying, "Yeah, I'm not coaching y'all anymore." I was like, I read it. I was like, "Damn, you can't even get off the ground."
Yeah, not even before you get to Houston, he said, "Yeah, I'm not coaching y'all no more." But yeah, I heard about that. But yeah, they got to get a new coach. I feel like they got to get new pieces around them. I feel like get a big man like an Andre Drummond or
I love Clint Capella on the Houston team because he was perfect for them.
They gave you good protection, somebody that you can throw lobs to, whatever, and he'll score. Even though he's not a great post scorer like
he was still one of them energy big guys that could run forward, play defense, grab rebounds, post the putbacks and all that.
Yeah, and
they give you James Harden thrives off a lot of pick and roll, in my opinion. Or he would be so much better off a lot of pick and roll. And someone like Clint Capella, he's good pick and roll person.
Yeah. So if you get somebody like Andre Drummond or Kevin Love, and then get a good coach like Ty Lue, any of the good coaches that won a job in the NBA, and you get somebody else that can score. Probably, I probably would keep Eric Gordon and maybe get another piece to go along with them. Then get some shooters, some defenders. And then I would tell James, we're gonna make you go back to your 2014-2015 season where you could have won MVP, where you're shooting mid-range shots, scoring in the post, scoring off the dribble, coming off of screens. Start adding the stuff that you used to do before the D'Antoni system. Start bringing some of that stuff back. So it makes you.
I would agree on that 100%, bro. You really need to make James Harden be more versatile because it's not just him. When you think about it, like you said, they pressure up high on you, and then you gotta force the three. Mid-range is a lot of space in the basketball court, so you're taking a lot of the space that you're able to work on.
Yeah, a lot of opportunities to score. Like he comes off the screen, and if the big switches or he's helping, now he's just kind of like, okay, I can either pass it to him, but if the big man helps and he beats him off the dribble, they're just going to have everybody collapse because they know he's not going to shoot the mid-range. So if he comes off, he's just going to kick it out to somebody in the mid-range, or if he tries to finish in the rim, there's 2-3 people there, like in the Lakers series. So he's guarded by KCP. He'll take him off the dribble, but Bron's here. Then they got AD. Then they got McGee. Then they got not Avery Bradley, Danny Green over there. So now he's kind of stuck. So there's 2-3 people in the rim. He can't really finish. And then, or if he sets a screen, they're doubling him. Or if he sets a screen and the big man is in the paint, he knows he's not going to shoot the mid-range shot at all. So he could easily come off the screen, shoot the mid-range shot, but he doesn't shoot those because
it does it easier for the defense really because you don't have to worry about he's got the mid-range shot. Yeah, I'm not even going to close out on that. I'm going to wait for him to come here because he's coming here for a layup.
He's coming to the paint. You're just going to have 2-3 people here and then have the help side or have the people that's on whatever side he's attacking, make sure that they're positioned and ready to close out or help for a rebound or a contested shot. Now Houston, and then nobody else on the Houston team can really create a bucket besides Westbrook, Harden, and Eric Gordon. So all the other guys are kind of like confused when Harden gets double and he kicks it in, and they don't know what to do with the basketball.
Yeah.
So they
you hear from a lot of ex-Houston players from like the last couple of years that they hated playing that. Like Chris Paul, I think, said it because you feel like you're just sitting around waiting to get the pass ball to you last minute.
Yeah, like 5 seconds on the clock. Oh, you got to shoot a three because James Harden doesn't shoot the mid-range shot and he can't finish at the rim because there's 2-3 people there. So now he has to kick it out. Somebody like Austin Rivers, he's not really a good three-point shooter, so you're kicking it out to him with 3 seconds left on the shot clock. Now he has to force up a three, and that's what the Lakers did the last 4 games, and that's how they ended up beating them and taking them out.
What do you think about a team like Utah, for example? Because obviously they gave Denver a run for their money. They had that series in the bag, I feel like, easily. But in the last couple of years of the Rudy Gobert era for Utah, they've kind of been losing in the first round, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's only one time they've made it to the semifinals, but they lost to Golden State in 4 or 5. You think Utah needs to make a trade? You think they need to, like, throw the kitchen sink at another superstar or like a lot of draft picks? What do you think Utah would have to do?
I think Utah, they're because they didn't have Bojan Bogdanovic, that guy. He was a key piece of that Utah team because he could score and shoot and create space for them. So they didn't have him. I like they got Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Jordan Clarkson's a nice piece to come off the bench. They got Bogdanovic. They got Rudy Gobert. I feel like if they add small pieces, like get a couple more defenders, a couple more shooters, maybe another creator to come off the bench for them, and let Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert develop their game more, start adding more into the game. And I feel like they add a few pieces, they can go from a team that you just see them, they might be a tough, matchup if we face them in the first round too. They might, get to the conference finals or semifinals, or might make the finals if, a Clippers or a Lakers get knocked out or something like that along that line. But I feel like they have a good coach, good system.
They do have an actual good coach and good system. That I've been surprised because I didn't think Quinn Snyder, I didn't know that much about his actual coaching history or coaching record. But he's done a good job in Utah because, if I'm not mistaken, he started in Gordon Hayward's last year. Yeah. That team with Gordon Hayward did decent in the playoffs. At least made the playoffs. And with the pieces they got, at first I was very big on Utah on the offseason. My God, they got Mike Conley. And Mike Conley was, one of the most underrated players in, NBA history when on Memphis. He was killing it. Then he had a slump, and then he had a kid, and then he started playing like Fred VanVleet, which I support all these NBA players getting kids in the playoffs.
Yeah, you start going crazy once you have a kid, man. You start going crazy. And then they got Bojan Bogdanovic.
Like you said, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I forgot about him completely once I was watching the playoff series, but then I was like, wait a minute. Where's Bogdan? Is he injured? Is he on the bench or what happened? I don't know.
I think
Jordan Clarkson was the only one person from their bench scoring.
Yeah, so if they would have had Bojan, I'm pretty sure he was going to start most likely, and then that's giving them a good 15 to 20 points. Maybe they have Bojan. Maybe we're talking about them getting to the Western Conference Finals instead of.
That's honestly, it could be true. It could be true. So you don't think they really need to blow it out? They just need one more piece for a couple of defenders or something.
Yeah, probably get another scorer, a few defenders and shooters around them, and I think they can make some noise.
Okay. I got 2 more teams for you. What do you think about Philadelphia? Trust the process. What do you think they got to do?
First of all,
because I'm sorry, man. Ben Simmons not shooting, and then Joel Embiid out here can't do it all. So, wait, better question. If you had to trade one of the two, would you have to trade Ben Simmons or would you have to trade Joel Embiid?
I would probably trade Ben Simmons because I feel like you'd get more value for Ben Simmons than you probably would for Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid is injury prone. Some people might be hesitant, he kind of gets injured a lot. I don't know if I want to trust a 7-footer that has injury problems. Okay. Ben Simmons, young. He's only 3-4 years in the league. He's young. He passes. He plays defense, all that other stuff. So I feel like you'll get more value for Ben Simmons than you would for Joel Embiid, in my opinion. But the Sixers, they gave too much money. First of all, the way they built their team, it was just horrible.
I'm a Tobias Harris fan, and I don't agree with how much money he got.
He got a lot of money. They spent a lot of money on Tobias Harris, spent a lot of money on Al Horford, which one doesn't make sense. He's 34 years old. I don't know why you paid him all that money.
4-year contract too. 4 years.
3, I don't know why it would fit because you got Joel Embiid, who likes to score in the paint. Ben Simmons, who likes to score in the paint. Then you add Al Horford, who, he can space the floor, but he likes to score in the paint. So there's no spacing within that paint. And the only people, then you got Josh Richardson, who's a solid player, but to fill in for Jimmy Butler, that's the person that you're filling in for Jimmy Butler.
I feel like that was one of the biggest mistakes. Not best mistakes. I mean, biggest mistakes was letting Jimmy Butler go because Jimmy Butler really was like the leader of that team. And like I've seen the JJ Redick podcast and like got Jimmy Butler on it. Jimmy Butler was like, yeah, it just felt weird. And you can attest to this that you go into practice not knowing what's really going to happen. So that team sounds a little dysfunctional. That's the thing. Yeah.
Brett Brown, he didn't really do a good job of creating a good offense around these pieces. You have, first of all, they had in 2019 when they had Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, JJ Redick, Joel Embiid. You got
JJ Redick too. Like that was a deadly starting lineup, honestly.
Yeah, they just first of all, I'd have had Ben Simmons play the 4. I'd have had Embiid at the 5. Then I have Redick. Redick can play the 1. He doesn't really need to do much. Just go out there, shoot the ball. Butler and Tobias Harris. Butler, when it's crunch time, you do your thing. Tobias Harris, we just going to need you to play defense, knock down a couple shots, make some key buckets here and there. But having Ben Simmons try and run the offense at 6'10", that's a waste of your talent. You're 6'10". You need to be – if he had the mindset of a Giannis, dominate until they – can't stop you anymore.
Because Ben Simmons isn't that aggressive. That's the problem. Because I'm not like whenever I play with Ben Simmons on 2K, I can easily just drive by a person because he's got the height, the strength, and the speed. But then in real life, he doesn't do that. He likes to dribble around and wait for to pass it.
He's trying to get stupid, 10, 15 assists. I'm like, you can get that easily if you dominate. Giannis gets 6 to 10 assists easily just off of doing that. So if he would take that type of Giannis role, dominate till they can't stop you anymore. Then you got Joel Embiid who can do the same thing, dominate till they can't stop you anymore. Then you kick. Then if you double, you got to remember you got
someone like Tobias Harris. Back in the day, you had JJ Redick or Jimmy Butler.
JJ Redick was a sniper, and then if you Jimmy Butler who can shoot the ball. He's not really a great shooter, but he can knock down a couple shots if you need it.
Yeah, he can.
And he's a great scorer. So if you would have had it set like that, they probably would have – you might say they might be the NBA champions back there.
They could.
Last year. But you let go of Jimmy Butler, which is bad. You let go of your best shooter, JJ Redick. You let him go. You gave 2 bad contracts to an old Al Horford and Tobias Harris, who's a solid player, but to be your second, third option, or to be the guy when Ben Simmons is out, now he ought to be the second option. It's not cutting it. And then Brett Brown, who didn't do a great job of having a great system or offensive plays and sets that he could use for those type of talents. And you could obviously see once they played the Boston Celtics, they just didn't have enough help. I mean, Embiid was doing everything basically by himself. Nobody else was really doing anything. They just didn't have the pieces. Even if Ben Simmons was there,
I don't think they would have done that much either because Ben Simmons would have just been locked up by either Brown or Tatum at that point.
He would have been doing the same thing that he did when they played him in 2018, the first time when Jason Tatum was a rookie, and they faced him. They just was just like, all right, we're just going to back off. You're going to have to prove that you could shoot. You didn't shoot, didn't take no jump shot. You try and get to the paint. There will be 2 people helping. Then it's clogged because the big man can also help while also staying connected with Joel Embiid. And then now they're just stuck because Ben Simmons is not going to score or try and dominate like he should be at 6'10" or shoot the ball. So now they're stuck. And then Brett Brown's not, putting the right pieces here or plugging in a good offensive set to try and get Joel Embiid the ball or get Ben Simmons the ball in a position where they can dominate. And I feel like once they got rid of Brett Brown, they need to get – I think you might have to trade one of them. In my opinion, they're probably going to get rid of Embiid.
I don't want to see that because Embiid feels like the more Philadelphia-like athlete, in my opinion.
Yeah, but they're most likely going to get rid of Joel Embiid and then just get some scores and defenders and shooters around Ben Simmons and the.
I was about to say, I feel like what Philadelphia needs to do is trade Ben Simmons, get a point guard that can shoot, and then just trade all the other pieces for shooters. Like trade Al Horford.
Yeah.
Even if you gotta give a lot of picks, do it and get like a Buddy Hield like player. Get
somebody like a Buddy
someone
Hield.
of that caliber.
Mm-hmm.
That's Philadelphia's weakness, in my opinion. You see it in the bubble. They couldn't shoot.
Yeah, no shooters, and they had no dominant wing player because their dominant wing last year was Butler. Now he's gone. Now it's just like, who else is going to be that dominant player on the wing that can really create and score?
Tobias Harris isn't a shot creator. He's more like come off a screen and he'll pop that three open for you, like JJ Redick. He works a little bit like that, so you can't make him be like, okay, create for us.
Yeah, like that Celtics series, you've seen it. They were like, okay, Tobias Harris, we're going to need you to, create and score for us. And he couldn't really do that because they had defenders all over the floor, like Marcus Smart, Brown, Tatum, and when Gordon Hayward was there before he got injured after that. So they had all these guys that could defend him, and he just didn't have that type of ability to do that. Last year they had that with Jimmy Butler, but they let him go. So I think they just need to get rid of Ben Simmons, get a good coach in there with a good system, get some scorers and shooters, and some more, and like a couple more defenders to go and to complement Joel Embiid, whoever they bring in, and then implement a good system to use all their talent as well.
No, I agree with you. I definitely agree that something needs to change in that team. Honestly, at least something. I don't know if they will actually go with it,
because this is 3 years now that they've tried it. They lost in the second round to Boston, lost in the second round to the Raptors. Now they lost in the first round to Boston.
I also feel like they kind of rushed it because they were like known for trust the process, but then they went for the Tobias Harris trade, and then they went for the Jimmy Butler trade.
They're trying to
like they should have just kept people like Dario Saric and all those other pieces they gave away. Landry Shaman, for example.
Yeah, they had a lot of shooters, and then they let them go for Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. Now Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick are gone. Now you have no shooting at all. You just got a bunch of big men and guys that really can't shoot the ball as well as those guys now. So the paint is clogged. You don't got a lot of shooters that can space the floor. So now it's just you're just stuck in this horrible system that Brett Brown has had for them. So they have to get a new coach and get new pieces around Embiid and compete for championships.
Yeah. I got this will be like the last question of the episode, the last team that we'll mention. What do you think needs to happen in Milwaukee? Because, sure, they made the conference finals the year before. Giannis is still playing like an MVP. Nothing's wrong with Giannis, really. If anything, he's above now a little bit more of a jumper. I was talking on the last episode. I feel like they need Chris Paul. Milwaukee needs Chris Paul. And it's very simple. The trade would just be Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez, maybe at a first rounder.
Yeah. What I would do with the Bucks first, this is what I would have done last year with them. First of all, I would have got somebody that can a scorer and a creator for that team. Because Chris Middleton, I like Chris Middleton, honestly. I really do. He's a great player, but
he can't always be clutch for you.
He's not. I can't really depend on him when I really need to. If my second option is Chris Middleton, I don't feel that much confident in that. If they would have had somebody like a CJ McCollum, Devin Booker type of player that I feel like, okay, crunch time, 5 minutes left, I can give him the ball and I know he can get his bucket whenever he wants to. And then if you had somebody, this is what I told my friends. I was like, if Devin Booker was on the Milwaukee Bucks, they'd probably go to the finals.
Oh, easily, because that's all you really need. You need someone that you can depend for a bucket when Giannis can't get through.
Yeah, you got defenders, you got rim protection, you got Chris Middleton that's going to give you a good 15 to 20. Devin Booker is going to give you 20 to 25. Giannis is going to do Giannis. And then late in the fourth, Giannis and him can run a pick and roll. You switch, Giannis can dominate the guard, or Devin Booker can take the big that Giannis was guarding. So then you can just mix and match and go with in between there. But this is what I would have done with Milwaukee. I would have got a creator scorer like somebody like Devin Booker or CJ McCollum type. I would have told Giannis, listen, you're a great player, but your weaknesses are starting to show now because the defense is just going to create a wall in the playoffs and you don't have nothing to do. So I would have had him work with somebody like a Kevin Garnett or Akeem Olajuwon.
Post game.
Develop a post game and develop a mid-range shot. Like work on your post game, like hook shots, bank shots, then a little mid-range shots like coming off of like they'll set a screen, you shoot the mid-range shot or like a one dribble pull-up, start working on that stuff. And then after that, start advancing it, like doing advanced moves in the mid-range, advanced moves from three, catch and shoot threes, all that type of stuff. Start developing that. But first, I would have had him develop a mid-range and a post-game first. So now the defense doesn't – they're going to think, okay, Giannis is just going to dribble from the three-point line, go all the way in the paint where there's 4 or 5 defenders, and he's just going to be stuck. Now he dribbles, shoots the mid-range. Okay, I didn't think he's going to do that. Now he comes down in the post, does a hook shot, does a fadeaway, does a little floater, shoots another catch and shoot mid-range. Now the defense is kind of stuck like, okay, do I give him the space? Because now he's proving he can shoot the mid-range now. He's proving he can score in the post now. They got another scorer over there in Chris Middleton. Then they have another type of scorer like a CJ McCollum, Devin Booker type. Now it's kind of like hard to kind of contain Giannis now because the floor is kind of spread out a little bit more because you're kind of worried if I help, oh, dang, there's Chris Middleton. Or Devin
you
Booker.
got the shooters, so you actually got to guard up like crazy. You can't sag off
you
on
can't.
it. That's a good point because that's all Giannis honestly needs because the team right now is perfect in the sense that you got like people that can shoot the ball. You've seen it. Milwaukee can shoot the ball. If you give Giannis the mid-range and that post game that you will get, not just like only a hook shot, just give him like actually be able to like do like a fake up and under, something like do like
give him
hand up
a
so
couple
that the
post
person
moves
jumps and then go for the like teach him the basic fundamentals of post game so that he can easily get people to jump on everything. Then you would have him be like a full like what they say in baseball, a 5-tool player because you gotta worry about his 3-point just a little bit. You have to worry about his mid-range because that is more easier to actually develop than the 3-point. If he's got a post game, it's you're over because he can already do layups and dunks on you. Arrow steps from the 3-point line to a dunk. So I agree with you. You really need to develop a post game or something like that.
Yeah, and then when Giannis attacks, it's kind of hard for him to kick out because he doesn't see where that help is coming from. In the post, he can see everything. So if they kind of double,
like Jokic, for example, when Jokic posts up, he's so tall he can actually see the other people. Giannis is taller, and I feel like he's got a longer wingspan too, so his passes will be more effective from the post too.
So if he's in the post and they try to double from the wing, he can see that. Oh, kick it out, Chris Middleton, who'll shoot the 3. Most likely he'll make it. Or if they don't double, back to whoever down, get him to a little post shot or a little hook shot, a little up and under, or take the mid-range shot here and there, take the bank shot. Now it's going to be hard to stop Giannis. Then he comes back the following year. He adds advanced moves in the mid-range and then has a catch-and-shoot type of 3. So now he comes off a pick and pop. He shoots the 3. He's starting to shoot that at a good rate, shoot around 35% from 3 off a catch-and-shoot. Now you're like, okay, he can score in the post now. He can score in transition. He can score in the mid-range. Now he's hitting catch-and-shoot 3s. Now it's going to be even harder to stop Giannis because now you're like, okay, now he's starting to score at all 3 levels now.
Exactly.
How am I going to be able to stop Giannis if he can shoot the catch-and-shoot 3, shoot from the mid-range, score from the post, score in transition, get putbacks and all that type of stuff? It's going to be very hard to stop Giannis, and you add another level score like a Devin Booker type, Zach LaVine, CJ McCollum, and then you also have pieces like Chris Middleton. So it would be very hard to stop Milwaukee if you have pieces like that around him and he develops his game to where he can go from averaging 27 points in the playoffs to 32, 33 off of just adding a post game and a mid-range shot.
Exactly.
And then it'll be
light
easier,
work for him.
it'll be easier for his teammates now because they're like, okay, Giannis is if they know they're gonna double, I'm gonna get more open shots, more easier looks for me. Now it's gonna be easier for Chris Middleton to score. It's gonna be easier for Devin Booker types to score. It's gonna be easier for guys like George Hill to score, Brook Lopez if they keep him around. If Giannis does that and they add another score, Milwaukee's gonna be right back in the competition of trying to win the championship.
Yeah. That's really all they need. They just need one reliable scorer, in my opinion. Someone that when the going gets tough, Giannis can't get through to the post or to the lane. Middleton's not having the best night. Don't worry, you got this person to depend on.
Yeah. And then
you got any final thoughts on the whole episode? On anything else you want to add before we finish?
Yeah, and then if Giannis just adds those type of things, he would be great. And if I hear people saying, oh, he should go to Miami, he should go to Toronto, he should go to the Clippers. But those systems don't really fit Giannis because if Giannis doesn't work on his game, for instance, he goes to Miami, they have Butler, Bam. They're probably going to have to give up some pieces for Giannis. Eventually, you're going to have to give up guys like Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, probably maybe a couple picks for Giannis. Now you don't have your shooters no more. So now
Exactly.
you're gonna be in the same situation that he is in Milwaukee. Even though he has somebody in Jimmy Butler he can rely on, there's no shooters. So I'm just gonna be packing in the paint because Jimmy Butler, even though he can shoot the ball, he's not really much of a shooter like that.
He's more like a slasher, a mid-range person, I guess. Yeah.
If he goes to, let's say, the Clippers, they're gonna have to give up. First of all, they don't have any of their picks. They gave up mad of their picks for Paul George.
Yeah, the Clippers.
They're gonna have to give up a couple players. Like maybe they're gonna have to give up guys like Lou Will, Morris, Harold, all these other guys to fit in Giannis. But now you don't have a lot of depth. Now your depth is gone because you just gave away 4 or 5 pieces for Giannis.
The one thing I think though, Brandon, is I feel like because Giannis was becoming a free agent in 2021, and that's the same year you got people like Kawhi, Paul George, and then you got LeBron, AD. Not AD, CJ McCollum, Oladipo. You got big names that offseason. I feel like if a team tries to steal Giannis, it wouldn't really be a trade. They would just have to wait it out until that offseason.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it would be tough because if Giannis doesn't really work on his game and he's coming back the same player over and over and over again, now they're just going to be like, okay, we're just going to pack the paint and keep doing the same thing we do to Giannis every other year.
And he's mad young still, though. He has time to develop.
I think he's like 25, 26. So imagine if he started working on that mid-range and post-game last year. Imagine if he would have had that last year coming into this year. He would have been a totally different player. Then they would have been – instead of now they're thinking like Milwaukee's like, oh, man, like if say Giannis came back to a different player with the mid-range and the post-game and then they lost to Miami in the same type of way. If I'm Milwaukee – I'm like, yeah, these pieces got to go because Giannis is developing his game. And now teams are looking at him like, okay, Giannis has shown me something. He's shown me he can shoot the mid-range. He's shown me scoring the post. He can shoot the catch and shoot three better. Now if he comes into our system or comes into our organization, he can fit in with us because now he's added these pieces. But until he adds those pieces of a mid-range and a post game, Giannis is going to keep being the same player, and it's not going to be able to fit in their system.
As long as he's the same player, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, but I kind of do like the Chris Paul being there because I feel like Chris Paul could probably fit well with them because he plays defense. He's somebody that you can go to late in the game. He's got a mid-range shot, can score in the paint, pass. He can shoot the three pretty well. And then he'll probably get the best out of Giannis and the best out of Chris Middleton. So him and Chris Paul run a pick and roll.
He'd be a good mentor in a sense because Chris Paul's a born leader. So just whatever team you put him on, he'll do something. Because
you've seen how Shai and Dennis Schroeder played well with Chris Paul this year. So he probably could do the same thing for guys like Chris Middleton and Giannis.
Well, I think that's going to be it for us today. Brandon, anything you want to say before we finish?
I just want to say thank you for having me on your podcast, man. I really appreciate it. This is how many of you have done so far? Like 25, I think.
This is the 25th episode, my G.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. Glad that you keep doing these podcasts. It's just actually very fun that I was actually get to be on here and talk about some basketball stuff. So I'm very appreciative of you allowing me to be on here. And I just want to say,
hey, I'm appreciative and thankful for you. Thank you for taking me up on the offer. I'm glad we got to talk hoops, and maybe someday later on the line, different episodes, you'll be on again. So we'll see how that goes.
Most definitely, yeah.
For everyone listening, either on SoundCloud or on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Peace out.